Chelsea Randall is living the toughest experience. It's a new experience with the mandated 12-day absence through concussion. It costs her, the Crows captain, a place in a grand final. This was her message as she dealt with the realities of it.
I decided not to take any further action because what kind of message, I guess, would that be sending to our grassroots football? Because concussion is serious. It is scary. You know, when I was 20, I was watching an E Division grand final and a young man died in front of my eyes. The week prior, he'd been concussed. He went to 7 different doctors. He got an approval to play. He was the captain of his team and he received a normal bump at a centre bounce and he never got back up.
That's as graphic as perspective can be.
Yeah, that is a really strong message. Really strong message.
This is Chelsea at training tonight.
Yeah, Chloe Malloy last night spoke about, the captain out. No one needs extra motivation in a grand final. No, you don't. You're in a grand final. You're going to be hyped up. But Chelsea Randall, the captain of your team, is not playing. So it gives it another edge. If you need one, there's another edge there. So I still can't get over. That's an amazing story. That's an amazingly sad story, to be honest.
And it's a longer clip that's there for on the Crows website to fully take in. So on the AFLW Grand Final, so Chelsea Randall's done football a great service with her perspective. She finds herself as part of a mandatory and arbitrary 12-day period that's been imposed. Not necessarily agreed on, but just imposed, and she misses a grand final. It's not hard to transpose this, is it, to the last Saturday in September in the men's comp?
I think it's inevitable. And so this rule's brought in, right? And we all thought, imagine if a player misses a grand final because they've got to wait 12 days to play. So we get an example of it in the first possible situation, the AFLW Grand Final. If I was in the same situation, imagine September this year and still playing in your 30s, captain, all of those things, I'm taking it as far as I can take it to play.
To where?
To Supreme Court. I'm going for an injunction. I understand the severity of concussion, and we heard Chelsea's, but so there's a very clear parameter here, and the parameter is if I feel okay to play, then I'm taking it as far as I possibly can to play.
Is that selfish of you?
Is it selfish? No, I don't think so. When you give as much as players give their whole careers for one thing, and that's to play in a grand final and win a premiership. And last year you would have been able to.
Yep.
Last year you would have been able to, provided you passed the test. There was no... And it's because of the ambiguous way, I think, in which concussion can be diagnosed. Now, I'm not talking about a situation where you've been stretchered off and you don't know your own name. Let's be really clear. But if I'm feeling okay and they're saying you've got to sit 12 days out, which is an arbitrary number, well, then I'm seeking an injunction and I'm trying to play.
What's your thoughts on that?
I think after seeing that story that Chelsea my view is a little bit different. Now, our views would be on that because maybe I've been successful and unfortunately Nick wasn't. He got there, but unfortunately not. So I think there's a lot more than just having to play a grand final and hopefully living.
Is that what you've dealt with personally as well, other than achievement on the field?
My perspective changed, a whole lot. Like, as I've said before, when the doc tells me I expect you to live to be a granddad, that means a whole lot more than the 15 years of footy that I've played. That's just, if I live to be 100, that's 15% of my life. I really, there's more to it than just 2 hours of footy.
It's the arbitrary nature of the 12 days, though, that I think would provide the opportunity for a player to push the AFL.
So you've moved the pre-finals by, which we discussed last week, wrote about it on Saturday.
Yep.
People's got support of getting rid of that, and now we get it between the preliminary finals, so we don't have situations where the AFL rules have been challenged by a player going to the Supreme Court.
Do you think it's inevitable? Do you think it will happen?
Yes.
I think it's possible.
Yeah.
I think it's possible if you've got the medical all clear.
That's right. So they're the parameters I'm talking about. Again, because
independent doctor comes in, says that this player is clear to play, and your 12 days is just an arbitrary guideline.
Well, let's be clear on that before I get smashed for not taking concussion seriously. I've had
you've been through it yourself, mate.
I've
You're not
had
doing that.
concussive episodes. I understand, but if I feel okay, I'm doing everything I can to play.